Hey guys, welcome to Massive Iron Live. Welcome to Friday. Happy Friday. How you guys doing? We made it to Friday, thank God. Appreciate you guys joining me on Massive Iron Live. I'm here to answer your questions. For those of you guys new, Massive Iron Live is the longest running. Whoops, just had to get the comments up. The longest running live Q&A podcast thing in the history of the world. I got the camera going. We're trying to iron out the voice settings. I think I need to get a microphone connected straight to my camera so my lips aren't off. But Stein says it's a daylight savings 1 hour earlier than last week. Yeah, it's daylight savings in the U.S., so sorry if we're confusing anybody else. So before we get started, if you guys are new here, don't hesitate to post up your questions. No dumb questions, stupid questions. I'm here to answer everything. And don't be shy about posting up your questions. I'm here every Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern. Love to help. Before we get started, if you guys need anything, you can head over to superlivingtoday.com. I have my workout collection, which is, you can just search collection in there. Also, follow me on Instagram at Ben the Barman. If you need coaching, you can check it out at superlivingtoday.com and teammassiveiron.com. All right, enough commercials. How you guys doing? Training is going pretty good for me. I've been doing the death day where I do squats and deadlifts on the same day. That's working out pretty good. So I'm happy with that. Today is leg day for me on a Friday, so I'm going to try to survive. I've been doing deads and squats on the same day. My lower back's feeling good. Anyway, this show is all about your guys' results. So anything you guys got going on, any questions, struggling with any, we got to get that straight. Anything you guys got going on, you need help with your workouts, training, diet, nutrition, whatever, just let me know. Post up a question. So let's get into things. And I got this new little thing here where I'm not being covered with words. I shrunk down the question box. Paul from Team Massive Iron. How's it going, Paul? Good morning. And Rico, good morning, Rico. We got some good stuff about Jeff Nippard coming up, so I can't wait to get into that a little bit. Good morning, Team Massive. Happy Friday. And here we go, some Jeff Nippard stuff. Jeff Nippard put out a chest ranking video. And guys, he is crazy. He rates machine press and cable flies higher than barbell and dumbbell bench. Yeah, so where do we even begin to unpack this? Number one, we need to set the table by stating we are addressing ideas and not attacking people. So we are attacking ideas. Let's get that out of the way, right? We're going to take a hard look and we're going to take an honest look at this because I think it's just a cancer in the industry where we focus on stretch-mediated hypertrophy or feel more than exercises that have a big progression opportunity. And look, here's the bottom line. I don't want to call them clowns. That's what in my brain, what I'm feeling like, these guys are clowns, right? But we'll be a little bit more mature than that, right? We'll take away what your brain reaction is. Like, I've heard these guys say that when I do chest, dumbbell bench, barbell bench isn't good for chest development. I got to tell you guys something. I've been training for 38 years. More than any other lifts, the dumbbell and barbell bench press give me chest soreness. Now, chest soreness is not the be-all, end-all. And I have trained pec deck and cable crossovers and every damn exercise under the sun. I have a jammer arm in my gym. I've trained every machine press, upper, lower, decline, you name it. I've done everything as hard as you can do it in every form you can do it, from rest pause to cluster sets to low volume to high volume to monkeys dancing as cheerleaders in the background, right? We've done it all. Nothing gets my chest more sore than dumbbell and barbell bench. Nothing. So these voices that are out there being dismissive of exercises, horizontal pressing horizontal pressing, which is the primary movement pattern for the chest. If you're going to activate the chest, you need some form of forward arm movement or elbow movement relative to the shoulder to incorporate the chest. And the bench is the best way to do that. Dumbbell bench, barrel press, incline dumbbell bench, all that kind of good stuff. If we're going to say those aren't the best chest exercises because they don't have the perfect stretch, or they involve the front delts, the anterior delts, or the triceps, we're really compartmentalizing and dumbing down and really turning hypertrophy on its head. We have to take a bigger picture view when it comes to hypertrophy, and that's the problem with the industry right now. We're compartmentalizing everything and looking like, what is the best stretch? Well, you know what? The best stretch on an exercise doesn't mean that it's necessarily the best exercise. But bigger than that, we are smarter than that. We understand that if you're going to hit a body part, the best way isn't one exercise. The best way is a quality grouping of exercises. So all of a sudden, you have these people who are anti-barbell or dumbbell bench, or maybe not necessarily anti-dumbbell or barbell bench, but they're elevating machine chest press and cable flies above this. Cable flies are the crappiest chest exercise for me. Maybe not for you, but for me. There's no progression opportunity on most of the cable systems because they're archaic. They're like dinosaur age, right? A machine fly, and we're not talking about a pec deck because that generally has a progression opportunity. But tell me if I'm wrong. Have you ever been on a pec deck cable fly, not a pec deck, a cable fly where you can get pretty strong on, where the leverages are pretty decent? Most of them are very archaic, so there's no progression opportunity. You can feel all you want. But if there's no progressive overload, it doesn't matter, friends. It doesn't matter. You can go into the gym for the first 2 weeks and get that feely wheelie on your cable fly, but there's no progression opportunity. There's no progression opportunity on 95% of cable fly systems in any gym. You might be at a gym that is the exception, and that's cool. Like a pec deck, at least you have a progression opportunity. The piece of equipment is designed so you can progress. You can get pretty strong at a pec deck. I've never personally seen in 38 years a cable fly that allows me to go from 10s to 20s to 150s. I wish they existed, because then I would rate the cable fly something other than the worst chest exercise that's frequently used in the gym. So part of the inherent flaw of the cable fly is that most cable systems in gyms just sink when it comes to leverages, right? So when we list cable flies as the best chest exercise, we have just literally turned chest training on its head, and we've pulled arguably the worst, most conventional chest builder and placed it at the top of the list. You need progression opportunity. Progressive overload is essential for hypertrophy. You can't have an exercise at the top of the list that has a limited progression opportunity. And arguably, cable flies, of all the conventional lifts we do, cable flies arguably are one of the worst when it comes to progression. Now, side lateral raises are another good example. I like side lateral raises. I do side lateral raises, but they're the fourth exercise for me on the week because there's not a lot of progression opportunity. Can I get a good feel on them? Can I do rest pause? Can I do something that increases the intensity? Absolutely. You can do that with cable flies. But they're a bottom tier exercise. Bottom tier doesn't mean useless. Bottom tier means if you like doing them, do them, but there's not a lot of progression opportunity. And to rate them at the top of the list it's a crime against humanity, friends. It's like, what? Where are we? Is this 2024? Where our science base is so science that we become dumb? You know, it's pretty par for the course in 2024 if we're rating cable flies at the top of the list, because we are living in the idiocracy, right? I'm not calling Jeff Nippert dumb, but I'm calling this placement dumb. Really, really dumb. Feel still needs progressive overload. A veiling face of cable flies is what got my inner chest to finally pop. I doubt that. Okay? I'm not hating on you, but feeling something, you are building a lot of inner chest mass from cable flies, right? What's been your progression? You feel it, but that doesn't mean you're building a lot of inner chest mass. So I'm skeptical. Right? I hear a lot of guys come along going, I use this exercise and my chest exploded. Let's see the before and after. You know, I'm not hating on you, man, but that's a very skeptical statement. You saying that, I'll pull the comment up. Right, I'll pull. Cable flies is what got my inner chest to pop. No, it didn't. It did not. Your inner chest is not popping from cable flies because there's no progression on cable flies. You might like the exercise. It might feel for you, but it's not popping anything, my friend. Just being real with you. And I'm not hating on you. I'm just telling you, it's not popping anything. Because you feel it, because maybe you get a pump on one exercise. There's no progression opportunity on cable flies. Well, I'm going to set that aside. Machine chest press, that's all right. It's a good secondary exercise. So anyway, you want to train chest, we have to take a bigger picture view. You want to do cable flies, whatever, you feel they're popping your chest, go for it. Okay, you want to do whatever, but we have to take a bigger picture view. We have to put together a good selection of exercises using different tools and techniques. So what do we have available in the gym to work the chest? We have a barbell and barbell variations. We have dumbbells. We have cables. We have machines. So what do we do? What do we have of it? We have dips. So we need 3 to 4 exercises per week to really hit the chest. You want a barbell exercise variation. You want a dumbbell exercise variation. And then from there, you can do the exercises you want. But these exercises still need a progression opportunity. You can't start with 20-pound cable flies and stay there, right? And look, I'm going to be honest, and I'm not hating on anybody, but anybody that says like cable flies made their chest pop, it would take years for that to occur. Years of progression. And you aren't going to get years of progression from a cable fly. So after you get your dumbbell and barbell variation in, you can do it like a plate loaded bench, a machine chest press, a barrel press, dips. Those are all good B tier lifts. Some might argue they're A tier. That's fine. You know, some might argue they're A tier. That's fine. But then you have like, after you get into all the big hitters, your dumbbell bench, your barbell bench, your machine bench, your dips, your plate loaded chest press, your barrel press, whatever. These are all the exercises that are the big hitters that have bigger progression opportunities. Then you can analyze, hey, what do I want to do next? What do I want to do last? Pec deck, cable flies, dumbbell flies. Dumbbell flies tend to tear up my shoulders, and they tend to tear up the shoulders of a lot of people. When you do them, instead of like bringing the elbow straight with your shoulder, you want to kind of drop the elbow a little bit and scoop up and forward a little bit, like down, bring the elbow down below your shoulders, and then scoop up a little bit into the center of the chest. That's a little bit more shoulder friendly than raising the shoulders and flying with the shoulders. Look at where my elbows are, equal to my shoulders. You want to drop the elbow a little bit, and you want to kind of scoop up to the center. Does that make sense? So if you're going to do a fly, that's a better way to do a fly. But your last exercise might not have the best progression opportunity. But after you beat down during the week your chest with dumbbell bench, barbell bench, plate loaded bench press, machine bench press, and you're doing your variations, whatever you prefer, and maybe even add in close grip benches into the mix, which is a compound movement that's going to hit your chest to a secondary degree. Then you can add in whatever you want as the coup de grace, right? The coup de grace, the finisher. And some people in this industry mock finishers, no value, whatever. This is where you bring in that pet exercise. And you can do like rest pause. You can do it a finisher. You can do run the rack, run the sack. You can do whatever you want. I think it's a good way to hit that more isolation exercise on the chest. Doing like a run the rack, run the stack, rest pause style on pec deck, dumbbell flies, or even on cable crossover. So I don't know the rest of his exercises in the mix. And whatever you feel cable flies are doing for you, they're still the bottom of the barrel exercise. Unless you are at one gym where there is a progression opportunity on cable flies. Okay. All right. And he sells training programs at the end of his video that are based on these movements. Yeah, I can't hate on him for that. I mean, that's everybody's got to make a living. But one of the best ways to sell a program is to be counterculture, so to speak. Hey, no more bench and dumbbell bench for you. Let's do flies, and here's the program. Look, I sell programs too. I do. I mean, anybody that pieces together their work, sell the program. I'm not going to get on Jeff for that. I build programs and I sell them here too. I'm just going to tell you, when I put a program on here, I put it out for free. And if you want to buy it, it's optional, because I don't make my primary bread and butter off programming. And that's not a diss against Jeff. That's just how I do business. So Jeff Nippert is Athlean-X ×2 total sellout. I don't know what's happening in the industry, man. I really don't know what's happening in the industry. Things are going crazy lately. We've had a lot of ebbs and flows in YouTube fitness, but some of these science-based mantras and monsters are really getting out of control with the things they're pushing on to you guys, right? We have to take science-based and we have to take bro-based, and we have to look at what I call history-based. If you look at all the lifters over the last 70 years that have seen amazing results, and you look at their programs, what do you find? You find most of them are doing dumbbell and barbell bench and dips. Okay? The vast majority are doing dumbbell bench, barbell bench, and dips. Do you have to do these? No. But what does it tell you? Beyond science-based, beyond bro-based, when we look at history, what is it telling us? What we know for certain is that during the last 70 years, and we're talking, we don't even have to address the enhanced realm. Over the last 70 years, those guys you want to look like are using dumbbell bench, barbell bench, and dips as their primary staples. So when we get a community that's starting to become too smart for themselves and they lay science down here in this video, and it ignores the fact that every lifter you want to look like in the last 70 years is using dumbbell bench, barbell bench, variations, and dips, it's not science, folks. It's bullshit. That's not science. That's not science-based. That is not science-based. Science is not detached from what is happening in the physical realm, in reality, right? That's a fairy tale. That's fiction-based. Let's call it what it is. That's going to ruffle a few feathers, but that's the way science works. Science is not detached from reality. This does not mean you must do bench and you must do dumbbell bench and you must do dips. That's not what we're saying here at all. What we're saying is, when we look at history, every physique you want to look like, you'd like to look like, has made their bread and butter out of dumbbell bench, barbell bench, and dips. Now, one caveat in this is that we tend to see lifters that get to the elite levels and then they switch their programming, which is reasonable. You might build up a huge base on dumbbells and barbells. Frank Zane did this. I talked to Frank Zane. I interviewed Frank Zane. I know what he did. He told me what he did. He built his lifts on the odd lifts, which were the powerlifting lifts. He built his muscle base on the odd lifts. That's what he told me. This interview is over at muscleandstrength.com. Just search Frank Zane, Steve Shaw. I talked to him on the phone. This is what he told me. He built his base on the odd lifts, on the big compound lifts. And then over time, he switched to the feely stuff. This is normal, this transition. But when an advanced lifter transitions and then pretends like they built their base on what they're doing currently rather than what they did for 10, 15 years, they're being disingenuous. Right? This is what I'm doing now. So we have to be careful when we look at how a lifter trains now, because it's generally not how they built their base, and that's not a slam. We all evolve our training over the course of time. We can use the big beefy lifts to build a big base, and then to save our joints, we might do it a little bit less intense and refine the edges a little bit. That's okay. It's just when an advanced lifter starts to pretend like their new system is how they built their base and it's detached from reality. Yvonne, for safety squat, bar squats, should one pull the handles down while performing the movement? You want to pull down tightly. I trained with Donnie Thompson, who was at his gym. I trained give or take 6 months a year. I don't recall. He was at that time the strongest power lifter in the world. I think he had a 3,000 pound total, somewhere around there. Donnie made me do safety bar squats for the first time. And what he taught me was, before you pull down. And that makes sense. Whenever you're squatting, whether you're holding a regular bar or a safety squat bar, you want to push the elbows down, not dramatically so, not excessively so, but you want to push them down. That'll help you keep your torso, your upper back tight, and that tightness will only help. You don't want to over tight to the point where it's not sustainable. So when you come up out of a safety squat bar, or the hole on us using a safety squat bar, you can big breath, tighten, go down. Does that make sense? Yeah, I want to mention the Nippert video. 1 year ago, he made top 10 exercises and put bench press number 1, but now because of idiot Mike Israetel pseudoscience, he recommends different things. I'm going to let you guys decide. I'm not here to convert you guys. I'm not here to convert you guys into my way of thinking. What I'm here to do on Massive Iron, and this is what I will always do, is remind you guys what is history based. There are very few things you must do in training, okay? It must be reasonable, and a reasonable place to start is looking at what is convention. So when people try to pull you away from convention, right? They try to pull you away from the norm. That needs to be a red flag. Dumbbells and Donuts, happy Friday. Thanks for tuning in. For those of you guys wondering, the video I did this week on the Massive Mass program was for Martin, Dumbbells and Donuts. Safety bar squat, once I could hold my handles down, I injured my thoracic spine. Now I try to do safety squat bar so the handles are pointed downwards. Jeff Nippert needs to get Banhammer on YouTube. No, I think it's good for discussion, man. I think it's good for discussion. I think it's good that we're discussing this stuff, because there are a lot of people that are going to drink this Kool-Aid. And what irks me about it is people that waste your time, right? The biggest crime you can make in fitness or nutrition is to have somebody waste your time. Perhaps the biggest crime they can make in life in general is to waste your time. Lifting, nutrition, relationships, whatever. You go to Walmart, somebody wants to talk to you about something like, hey, there's my car, the tire, whatever. Like, dude, don't waste my time. People will do anything for profit. Jeff Nippert is a snake oil seller. I don't know. I don't know what goes through in his head, and I'm not going to judge or pretend. I think a snake oil salesman, and you guys can decide what you think, is somebody that knows something is bullshit and they're selling it to prey on you. There's a lot of that in the supplement industry. There's a lot of people that convince themselves that these supplements are magic. I think to a degree, a snake oil salesman almost starts to believe his own sales pitch. So I don't know. There might be a little bit of crossover. I'm not going to speculate, but I'm always going to bring you guys history-based, the bigger picture. If we want the best picture, and this is the Massive Iron picture, it's Massive Iron versus the world. And Massive Iron isn't just me, it is the bigger picture. Anybody that takes a bigger picture is part of that Massive Iron way of thinking. What is the bigger picture when you look at the totality, the history of lifting? What are the common pillars of success, right? If you look, my new book's going to be out within a couple months. I've been working diligently on it. And I talk about the 10 pillars of success. If you look at the history of lifting, successful results, there are 10 pillars you must have in place to make good muscle building results. And I'm not going to go into them right here. If you want to check out an earlier version of that, you can check out my book, Massive Iron, at superlivingtoday.com. But I have expanded on the pillars of success for my new book. And the base is at my old book, massiveiron.com. Drew, Big Hairy Ugly Dude, have you ever done sumos? Yep, I've done sumos. I've spent a lot of time doing sumos. There are videos on my channel, on this channel, if you search sumo. Hold on a second. I'm going to pull up the YouTuber. I'm going to try to do this live. So hold on. Let me try to do the thing. I'll try to do this live for you guys. YouTube Studio. I don't want any ads coming up because YouTube gets cranky at me. So hold on. I'm going to go to my channel and I'm going to do the search button. Okay. So we're going to present share screen. Okay. So there's the main page to my channel. If you do the search, I probably have a lot of unlisted videos. So here's 500 for 5. I nearly tore a hamstring on this. This is from 12 years ago. And let me just mute this because I don't want to anger the gods of YouTube and get a, but yeah, I did. One of the things I teach, and I really started deadlifting about 2008 for those of you guys that are curious. I never really deadlifted between 1986 and 2007, 2008. And one of the things I teach is it's probably a good idea at some point, if you are serious about deadlifting, to spend a year alternating between sumo and conventional every other week. It only has benefits. It'll only help you bring up some weak areas and you'll learn a lot. But that's what I did during this year. And this was 13 years ago. Nearly 13 years ago. I remember this set well because I nearly torn my hamstrings. I am so quad dominant that it's harder for me to keep my knees open on sumos. So sumos don't always feel natural to me. And I know this is a pretty ganky video, but my form probably isn't the best. This is 13 years ago. I probably didn't get seated enough. We'll see. I'll critique my own form. I got pretty seated, but I should have paused a little bit. Pretty good hip discipline. I'm getting the hips down, not bad. That was 3. I think I only do 4 here. And then I felt kind of a hamstring thing there. And I thought I stopped the set. No, I guess, yeah, I stopped on 5 because I felt something weird on the hamstrings. So yeah, I've done sumo. If you go over to my channel and search sumo, there'll be a few videos lingering around. I have a lot of unlisted videos on this channel. I've been doing this for a long, long time, and I have a lot of unlisted videos. So anyway, Lifter XXX. What is up with the return of these scientific gurus? Dr. Wolf Nippard. They bash good exercises. Just want you. It's us versus the world, friends. It's us versus the world. Fads come and go, but don't ever let anything pull you off the straight and narrow of convention. That doesn't mean you need to use convention for everything, but that needs to be our base and our foundation. And that is science-based, because when we look at the history of lifting, we realize this is what is driving results for the average individual. That doesn't mean you can't refine it to fit you, because that is the beautiful thing about hypertrophy. They bash good exercises that have been working for generations. Yep. That's nothing you're ever going to get here. That's nothing you're ever going to get here. You're always going to get meat and potatoes work, and it's not going to be served up fancy. We're going to serve it up with salt, because salt is a vital electrolyte, and that's what you're going to get on your plate. Because you're asking for gains, you're going to get a servings of gains. You're not going to get a serving of the fancy boy exercise of the day. And it's not science-based. Science-based has to have its foot in reality, right? It's a fairy tale. It's like Harry Potter. Cable flies, you want to put them in your 4th exercise, go right ahead. You can't progressively overload cable flies for very long. You can't. I don't care how much you feel. Okay? Progressive overload still needs to be in the mix. It's fashionable to discredit big, heavy hitter exercise that have been working for hundreds of years. What I teach here is take a bigger picture view. Like, what is the bigger picture? We're going to hit the body with different angles, head to toe. We're going to really hit the body head to toe with as many big quality exercises as we can. We're going to take a shotgun view. We're going to take a bigger picture view. We're not going to bring everything down to the little body part where we can feel every body part the best. Look, I can feel it the best. I can feel it the best. I'm doing my wader curls like Jeff Cavalier. I'm doing my wader curls. Yep. Very nice. Doing my wader curls. Doing my wader curls. We're like Rain Man. So we don't discredit feel because we're not idiots. But we also know there has to be more than the equation to feel and stretch, because we're not idiots. Has to be a little bit of tension in the mix. And you can't overload tension if you're not overloading tension. Hey, big, hairy, ugly dude, I'm wondering which chest exercise will help me build a bigger chest. Just watch the first 30 minutes of this video. Saber Lala, if you want good results, do what big musclehead natural lifters do, the ones who don't make a living off social media. That's the thing, man. You step outside the box of social media and you just get into the world of people with results. And I'm not saying the guys on social media don't have results. Dr. Mike has results. Milo Wolf has results. Everybody has results. But if you just look at the average lifter. I don't really think Jeff Nippert built his chest off cable flies. Correct me if I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, you let me know. Is it true that recently there has been an obsession with scientific training guys like Nippert discredit you? It is true. Yep, it definitely is. Guys, it's us against the world. That's the enemy. These people aren't the enemy. That's the enemy. People trying to pull you away from convention and common sense. In history, that's the enemy. We're fighting against the enemy. Psyched to be lifting again. Can you please just clarify the operation of the rep goal system? You guys can find that out in my book, Massive Iron. There's been many videos on this channel on how the rep goal system works. So the rep goal system is basically, if you're using the rep goal system, you're pushing 2 or 3 sets for max safe reps. You're adding up the total of all the reps of all the sets. And if they hit your goal, then you move up in weight. Stein, how's it going, Stein? Soy sauce banana. Can you explain trap bar deadlift form and how it's different? You're going to be a little bit more upright. Okay, I'd like you guys to use the higher handles. If not, it kind of is just a deadlift with a neutral bar, which is fine. But you're going to have a tendency to be a little bit more upright. The center of where the barbell is going to be about at the center of your toe. So that's going to be a little bit more neutral, and it's going to be less stress inherently on your lower back. It'll still really work your traps and your yoke and your upper back. Let me get a drink here. Good morning, Joe. Would there be any value in doing a drop set at the end of a working set? The only time I want you guys to mess around with drop sets is at the end of your last set. Let's say you're doing Bicepticons in your last set of dumbbell curls. Then you can do a drop set. It's not going to be a game changer, but it can be a slight intensity boost if and when you have the energy. But these things are tools, and they should not be our primary reliance. The primary reliance should be good quality form and progressive overload. Then we do this stuff when we have extra energy. TK. Training for a weight class competition 5 months away. If one is at the current weight cap, is it better to maintain up until the comp? Here's what I would do. I would probably cut 10, 12 pounds and train into it. So let's say you're training for 180 pounds or whatever your arbitrary weight class is. Drop to 170, 168, and then bulk into it. Go into it building, recovering, training hard, and a calorie surplus strong. Then maybe deload the last couple of weeks and get after it. That's what I would do. I'm no expert in martial arts or boxing or any weight competition. I'm not sure if this is for powerlifting or arm wrestling or nude arm wrestling or nude powerlifting or whatever, but that's what I would consider doing. What's the difference between overtraining and overreaching? Good question. Overreaching is when you push yourself a little bit too hard, and we're generalizing here, but you kind of feel a little bit beat up, maybe mentally beat up, physically beat up. You wake up in the morning, you feel a little bit sluggish. There's obviously a scale of overreaching, so we have to establish that. Overreaching can be a minor degree, it can be a major degree. And then you need a rest day, a couple rest days, and you're back at it. Overtraining is very, very difficult to reach. You have to be pushing well into overreaching zone and then continue to overreach. Overtraining, I've very rarely seen it. So it's a hype topic. It's more of a fantasy topic. It's very hard to do, very hard to achieve. When tracking macros, our calories from raw veg, you count everything. Just streamline the process. Count everything. Count everything. Make it easy. Any tips for gripper progression? I can do 37 to 40 full clicks on the Captains of Crush 1, but on the 1.5, yeah, I don't know. I'm no expert at that, man, but I can feel your pain. I have the whole set, and I bought the whole set thinking, hey, I'm a pretty strong guy, and I deadlifted pretty lot of weight. I'm going to be good at Captains of Crush grippers, and not so much. So, the only thing you don't want to do is over push so you get elbow tendonitis. I would do research on that because that's outside of my lane. Shelly, how's it going? Shelly from Team Massive. Big Josh Megaroids. I'm actually going to see the live. Good. Glad you're here, man. For the Jeff Nippert Show. Another great day and another great live love. Thanks for tuning in. Fat chick in a barn. In a cut, is it more important to hit your protein or your calorie? Protein and calories. No, you don't push your calories over ever on a cut. No. If your calories are the be-all, end-all. And if your protein is low, that's a sign your diet's a little bit slops. You know what I'm saying? Maybe too much fat-focused protein. You need more leaner proteins. That's more of a sign of a slightly unfocused diet. That sounds critical. But usually there's junk carbs, fast food, junk food, something in the mix that is driving carbs and fats up a little bit, forcing you to miss your protein intake. What's going on, Algernon from Team Massive? Trap bar overhead press from, I've had a couple people do it. If it feels okay for you, go right ahead. I've never felt inspired to do it, but it is something I've seen people do, had clients do, and it felt all right. And our live starts now. We're going to give out something for free. We're going to give out something for free. Your favorite maybe it's not your favorite 4-letter word. All right. Who started all the Jeff Nippert stuff? All right, I'm going to give you something for free, BJ. Hit me up on Instagram at Ben the Barman, by DM, or email me, benthebarman@gmail.com. I'll give you a free t-shirt, hoodie, something like that, whatever you want from the store. So just hit me up. We'll figure it out. All righty. Where are we? I'm going to get a drink and then we're going to go on. We're about 45 minutes in, some good discussions. So keep it rolling, man. I will keep talking as long as you guys have questions. If you want me to talk about Jeff Nippert for the next 2 hours, I will. Only been doing this lately on Friday. Been cutting back. Doing some budgetary cuts. Trap bar RDL good. Yeah, great exercise. Neutral grip. It allows you to keep the weight a little bit more centered, a little bit more natural feel. Do you have to do it? No. Is it a great choice? Yeah. Is it daylight savings? Yep. Last Sunday, we did the old switcherooski. Opinion on lateral lunges. Lateral lunges. You mean to the side? Trying to understand what you mean, Amanda. So we have forward lunges. We have back lunges. The lateral lunge is to the side. For hypertrophy, not a big fan of that. I just am not. I think there's plenty of other better exercises we could be doing in the gym. I think that's an exercise that can place unwanted stress on the knees. I just don't think if If you want to do it at the end of your exercise and your program, you like to do it, fine. But I wouldn't. I wouldn't over. Hugo, peanuts. Okay to eat after the gym. Anything's okay to eat. With that said, you probably want to get in a little bit of simple sugars and maybe a fast digesting protein source immediately after you get done with your workout, as a generalization, not a carved in stone rule. I need a tiebreaker for a poll. Let's do it. I need one more piece of equipment, either a belt squat machine or one of those hack leg presses. Leverage squat. Do you have a leverage squat? 100% leverage squat. The leg press, hack squat variations, they're all right. The leverage squat that I have in here, right? Awesome. Great feel, good depth, good quad feel. 100%. Very nice. Amplified training. Howdy Friday. Howdy Friday. How's it going? Let's see. I was going to do something magic here. I don't know. I don't know if I can. I can't invite him on. I was going to invite him on, but body part split is good. Yes. Yep. It's definitely okay. Don't panic about it. Focus on the bigger picture. Do whatever you like to do. Don't feel compelled to do a body part split. Just do whatever you like to do. But there's no reason to avoid anything. All the super paranoia, super panic. Stan, my goal in life is to get your autograph. Well, I appreciate that. My goal in life is to train with you. Hoping to get over there this year, but we'll see. Got to get my book done first. Victor, thanks for all your support, Victor. I appreciate it. I see you commenting on my videos. I can't thank you enough. Stan, you should label red underwear with your brand so that I can buy them and get my squat strength up. Yeah, there used to be a joke like we try to micromanage things so much. Like if you wear red underwear on Tuesday, it's going to be good for your squat, whatever. It was just a joke, like how silly the industry can be with micromanagement. Carlton Klein, a mine truck driver. Good morning from GA. Craig Ford, are you using straps? Oh, yeah, 100% VersaGrip Pros. No, that's not at the expense of grip strength. We're training our back, not our grip. It's not at the expense of grip strength. That's a fallacy. To use VersaGrip Pros. If you don't, you're going to get some serious, you're going to likelihood that you're going to get some serious elbow tendonitis. Why would you take a back exercise and weaken it just to train the grip? We're there to train the back. If your grip is an issue, train your grip after you're done with your back. At some point, you're going to get strong enough where you should need grip support so you can continue to progress on back. If your grip is hindering your back development, what's the point? So the statement, are you using straps at the expense of grip strength? No. Not using straps is causing you back growth. All right. What do you think about push-pull legs with the same compound movements and tracking them while doing different accessories every day to failure? I don't like training to failure blanketly because the demands of every exercise are different. So in the massive iron world, we focus on pushing a set for as many quality reps as possible, stopping that set when we feel like we might fail on the next rep or when form starts to break down. On presses, it's okay to push to failure. On pulls, the only thing that's going to happen is your speed's going to slow down a little bit. That's perfectly okay. I don't want you deadlifting twice a week. I would have to see the totality of the program because sometimes it just makes sense to work in some variation. Anything can be okay if it's done constructed wisely. Fat chick in a barn. I didn't see growth in my chest until I started to bench. Good. I'm glad to hear it. Dumbbell flies were wrecking my shoulders. That's pretty normal. People tend to fly with their elbows up. I can send you before and after pictures, but I guess there's no proof. I'm not trying to be a hard ass about cable flies, but it wasn't the only thing you were doing. And look, when we say, I've heard it a million times, one exercise has been a game changer. Like, yeah, it might have helped with a little bit better feel, but cable flies is not an exercise that you can progressively overload to a dramatic level where it's going to really dramatically change your pec size. Some people probably think cable flies are better because they have bad form on compounds. Yeah, I've been there myself. Saga. I'm new here. I have a home weight set. I'm a beginner. Any tips? Find a program that works with your schedule, number of days per week. Try to figure in about 16 to 18 hard sets per day and focus on the exercises you can do, learning form, barbells, dumbbells, whatever you can do at home. And don't pressure yourself to progress too rapidly until you understand form, but rely on the basics. The biggest tip is to be consistent and to really focus on your bulking nutrition. Come join Team Massive Iron. Very minimal cost. And I know in this day and age, everybody's being nickel and dime from micro costs. Very minimal cost, and you can get help from our community, from me, at minimum. A nipper, that's what happens when people run out of ideas for their channel. When I try to come up with ideas, and I'm obviously no king of the idea pool, I just tend to shoot from the hip more than anything. I want to teach within what I have going on in the Massive Iron world. If I create something new, it's going to be like a workout variation. If I really introduce a new exercise, it's going to be an exercise variation I created, like bulldozer shrugs or bulldozer laterals or, skull destroyers, variations in different ways of doing conventional exercises. Amplified training. Now, for those of you guys that missed it, Mark was on this channel this week. He put together a strongman program. You can check it out a couple days ago. Creating a problem and selling the solution. That's a classic sales technique. It's funny. One of the comments hated on Mark for being weak, for being a strongman. Like, Mark's strength levels are well beyond the average, with the average gym person, gym elite. I think I'm going to borrow your idea of giving away programs but selling a PDF. The reason why I can do that is because coaching is my main thing. Coaching is what I want to do. And I like building programs. And if you guys want to keep them in your library, buy one. I have tons of programs at superlivingtoday.com. Haven't seen Nipper's video, nor have I. Just going off what you guys gave me, but he built his base with compounds. I'm sure he did. He has good numbers. Yeah, that's exactly what I talked about. He did not build his base on chest flies and lengthened partials. And this is the cancer in this industry. You want to use this stuff as your final exercise of the day, go right ahead. Play around with it. But he built his base on the basics, the same things we talk about here on Massive Iron. I'm not going to get on here and do some foo-foo, finger twinger, twirly, whirly exercises. Look at my chest fly where I twirl the pinky at the end and we kind of serve it up on a platter like a waiter curl. We just kind of curl and swoop. And at the end, we rotate out. Bring our pinkies in. And we call it the go fuck yourself fly. Right? No, I'm not going to do any of that stuff. We're going to meat and potatoes and get you a little bit of salt because that's electrolyte, right? I've been giving away PDFs, but your method makes sense. Gregorio, how's it going, my friend? Thanks for tuning in. Say the delts and triceps hit 30% on the bench, 70% of the bench. Yeah, exactly. We got to take a bigger picture look. Pressing this way, doing this, doing that. We're not compartmentalizing bodybuilding. We're hitting everything from every way we can with the biggest guns, right? We're throwing clay at the body from every angle, and it's going to stick, and we just form it, like a sculptor. We're going to control the weight. We're not just chasing plus ones or strength. He's letting Decides take over his training advice. I don't know how you get to the point where you build your base off the basics and then start pushing this stuff. I just don't. Not hating, just saying. I blame COVID for all the trust the science stuff. We've lost common sense, that's for sure. COVID aside, that's for sure. I would say history will always be superior. If we look at the totality and it's telling us one thing, that's what we should be researching. Why? How many pounds total gained is the limit during a bulk? It depends on the individual. Where they're starting, are they a little bit underweight? What their condition is? How efficiently they are cutting. Somebody on Team Massive Iron today, it's pretty lean, about 15.5%, and they just finished a bulk, and they wonder if they should still keep going. Yeah, you can keep going as long as you're looking good. As long as you're looking good. Impact total fat gain. Does genetics impact total fat gain? The biggest thing that impacts fat gain on a bulk is how hard you are training, and are you inconsistent, or are you doing fat bulks? On a regular bulk, we're not going to get too far from home, and then we're going to cut, so we're just going to go back and forth. We're never going to get too far from home. Did the clocks change? Yep, here in America they did. Big J, morning, happy anniversary. Thanks, my anniversary tomorrow. Would you say going from 110 by 10 to 200 by 10? Good goal, yeah. Realistic. It's a lot to move, but man, I'd like to see it. 200 by 10 is a lot. That's more like an 18-month realistic goal, maybe 2 years. Had an issue with my lower back. Can I replace hex bar deadlift? What can I replace hex bar deadlift to maintain? I don't know what issue you have, so I can't really say. You just want to set aside the issues that are avoiding your lower back. That's all I can tell you to do. If you need more help, you can hit me up on Instagram at Ben the Barman so we can get into things a little bit, or email me benthebarman@gmail.com, or join teammassiveiron.com. Lost 10 pounds in 1 day. 3 weeks later, barely gained a few pounds back. That's extremely unusual. Extremely unusual. So I can't say I've ever seen anything like that in my life. The only thing I'll say is if you're trying to bulk, your weight needs to be moving up. I've never seen anybody lose 10 pounds from a sickness and then not have rebound because that's under hydration, that's glycogen loss. So I would need to know more, but that's extremely unusual. That's borderline bizarre. Something doesn't smell right. And I'm not saying your story doesn't smell right. It's just very unusual. My workouts are around 16 to 20 hard sets. It takes me close to 2 hours. Feels like I'm taking too much time. Well, you're not taking too much time if you're enjoying it and you enjoy the time in the gym. I take a lot of time in between sets. I do. I got my home gym down here. I just do what I want to do. I take the time and I focus on hard training. So if you enjoy it, it's not too much time. Time has no bearing on things. It's weekly hard training is the key. Couldn't agree with you more about the history of training. Thanks. And thank you for tuning in. What's your opinion on water intake? Should one set goals? I think it's way overblown. Reasonable water intake. Get your sodium in because athletes need sodium. Sodium's a vital electrolyte, the energy electrolyte. Overhydration, I think, is kind of a weird cult. I'm not making fun of people that walk around with their water bottles, all that kind of stuff. But I think overhydrating, like, gotta get your water in. I just drink naturally and I'm fine as long as you're not underhydrating. Big Bill Baker. I'm struggling to understand appropriate hip control on deadlift. Last video, they were too quiet. In the past, they come up too much. You just got to keep working on it. One of the biggest issues is people will set their hips and then before getting tight and bracing, they'll just set and bounce up again because their hips aren't tight. Their core isn't tight. Set the hips, big breath, brace the core, drive the head straight up. Let me see if I have this video saved on Instagram because I believe I did. That shows perfect deadlift execution, but I don't know. Let me just check my saved before I blabber. Let me just mute. Yeah, here we go. I love this deadlift. This is Amber.Alice. We're gonna do a little bit of deadlift school, okay? So let me just pull this up. I saw this deadlift and I'm like, this is a good deadlift. Okay. So hip set, okay? Slack taken out of the bar. Center of the shoulders just a hair in front of the center of the bar, okay? I can tell this. You can tell this from the side. Watch. Braced. Big breath and braced. Watch her shoulders go straight up. She's got a big breath. Watch. Shoulders straight up. Hips don't move. Discipline. Watch. Big breath, braced. Hips straight up or shoulders straight up, trying to stand up. Perfect execution. Beautiful. Beautiful deadlift. Hip set. You can tell she's braced. Look at it. Right? Beautiful. So you have to work on it. A lot of times people will just bounce their hips down and come straight up. That works if you understand the deadlift. Is there a weight gain range that's too slow? If you're going below 2 pounds a month, you're really just mucking about. Dumbbell side bends for obliques. That's an old school lift we used to do. I don't like it. I think it's ineffective. I'd rather see you doing like cable wood choppers or something like that. Soy sauce banana. Dr. Mike did a video on is your bulk too slow? Seems to be about the same as what you teach. That's good to know. Like Dr. Mike does teach a lot of good stuff. So I especially like when he teaches what I teach. Then he's a smart guy. Just humor. 2 forgotten very good exercises: behind the neck overhead press and behind the neck pull-ups. Behind the neck overhead press is definitely an old school exercise, and if you execute it properly, it's not for everyone, but it's a great lift. I did that for my first 22 years of lifting. Behind the neck pull-ups, never tried them. I think if you can get a good lat feel on them, great. If they aren't giving you a good lat feel, I would not do them. Big AW. We got about 10 questions left, guys, so keep the questions coming. As soon as the questions are done, we will hop off. Couldn't agree with you more about the history of training. Been training more on than off for 48 years. You can learn a lot about history. It has to be our basis. We're not being cultists, but we have to build a bigger picture. Thoughts on Bulgarians in bulldozer style? Bulgarian split squats, I would not do rest pause because you're hitting one size. And I don't like unilaterals for rest pause unless you're alternating, like alternating curls, alternating lunges, that sort of thing. And he talks about drop sets. Yeah, I'm not a fan of Bulgarians for that reason. If you want to do it, go ahead. It just seems super tedious to me. Hammerhead, 23. How can you maintain song? Eye back muscle without extending or flexing your arm to replace rows and pull-ups, etc. Okay, I'm trying to unpack this, and I'm not being silly. How can you maintain song? Eye back muscle without extending or flexing your arm, replace rows and pull-ups. I don't know what you mean, my friend. Maybe you can rephrase that. Thoughts on Anavar? It's a steroid. And this is a lifting channel, and I'm not being dismissive, but I could give two shits. I really don't give a fuck about steroids. Excuse my language. I'm a lifter. You know as much about Anavar as I do. I think chicks use it, female bodybuilders. I think it's a chick steroid. How can I maintain some back muscle on the impacted side after distal bicep? How can I maintain back muscle on impacted side after a rupture? No matter what, you're going to have to find exercises that work well where you can get a good back feel and that are overloaded. So there are a ton of really good back exercises. You have to find the ones that work well for you. That's part of the injury recovery process. Are you familiar with Andrew Richard? Yes, I follow him on social media. I believe he follows me as well. I've heard that you can only gain 35 pounds of muscle. Andrew claims he's a big boy. I'm not being dismissive, but Andrew is big, and we're talking like a lot of extra body weight, if you know what I mean. And I'm not being hate. I respect him, but he's got a lot of fat on him. Does he have more than a couple more pounds of muscle than the average national? I don't know. Look, I'm going to be honest with you, and this is not hating on Andrew Richards, but when your weight gets up to 380 pounds, you're going to die. So I respect everything Andrew does. I don't care how he lives his life. I don't care what his weight is, but I don't go in that world. If you want to eat yourself up to 380 pounds to try to get as strong as Andrew, God bless you. Just know the downsides. I don't talk about 531 because I do my programs on this channel. And I'm not being dismissive, but I don't care about other people's programs. Check out my programs at Massive Iron, all the programs I have on this channel. I don't coach other coaches' programs. I have a ton of programs here I'd like to help you on. I'm not being dismissive. Check out my programs at my website, superlivingtheday.com. I have tons and tons of programming options. Love the idea of banning the deadlift to ensure you pull up and back. Yeah, that's what we just saw in this video that I showed, because if you're banning it, pulling forward, and I'm right there with you mentally, it's forcing you to pull up and back and keep hip discipline. So I know what you're saying. Thanks for answering my question. You bet. Thank you for your support here and on the gram. Do you know Eric Bugenhagen? No, I posted, not personally, no. I certainly know of him. I posted on Instagram about Jeff Nippert, and I used Eric Bugenhagen's reaction, which I just thought the thumbnail was funny as crap. I did. I'll show you guys real quick. And I haven't watched Eric's video. I will later today when I have time. Quite honestly, I just thought the thumbnail was funny as heck. So I just posted it up. So somebody on Team Massive sent this reacting to Jeff Nippert's chest exercise rankings, and he's laughing his ass off. And I didn't even need to watch either of their videos. I just inserted my contribution to the fun because I'm sure they're stinky. That's just humor. Humor, we can laugh yet, can't we? Are we allowed to laugh in 2024? Somebody check the rule book. Does adding a pause to your conventional deadlift? No. it's not going to help with hip discipline. If you have hip discipline, you're not going to be able to really pause. I don't find a lot of value in adding pauses. I don't think for the average lifter, they're the best thing you can do. But if you're a pretty experienced, strong deadlifter and you want to play around with them, go right ahead. All right, guys, 3 questions left. Keep them coming. Saw someone overhead pressing with palms facing the body. What am I missing? I don't like that stuff. I don't like reverse grip bench. I'm not going to do that. It feels uncomfortable. If that feels comfortable for you and you want to do that foo-foo stuff, go right ahead. I'm not going to drop the barbell on my head. I can't. How do you even do that? Thoughts on preparing for police academy? I can run. What else can I do to be at my best? I don't know what they test you guys with, and if it's different on every state, but I would need a little bit more information. Not certain at all. General conditioning stuff probably wouldn't hurt. All right, guys, last call for questions. Happy Friday, Team Massive. I'm on spring break and met my goal weight this week. That's a good convergence. Happy to hear it. Big DW Jr., can you provide an example of percentage of protein, carbs, and fats for a cut? Sure. When you are on a cut, and these aren't rules, they're guidelines, you probably want to have your protein at least 35% of your calorie intake. Why is that? Number one, it'll maximize food volume because you're eating leaner proteins, forces you to eat leaner proteins. Number two, you're getting a lot of micronutrients. It encourages food volume. Okay. And what was I saying? And the thermic effect of food. You're going to maximize the thermic effect of food because you're eating more protein or animal-based protein. So you want to have your protein probably at least 35% of your daily calorie intake. If it's too low, you're probably eating too much junk or too many carbs or too many foods with fats. So you want to keep probably fats down to about 20%. Fat's not evil, but on a cut, if you raise protein to at least 35%, lower carb or fats to about 20%, you're maximizing food volume because you're relying on animal and plant-based foods more. And plant-based doesn't just mean veggies. It can mean rice, potatoes, whatever. You're maximizing micronutrients. And animal and plant-based are more thermically friendly, the thermic effect of digestion. If you eat just like a super simple sugar like a Pop-Tart, or compare that to like trying to digest a potato, it's harder to digest a potato. So little things, but they all add up on a cut. Lying face pulls. I'm trying to figure this out. Lying on your back, how you doing it? Pulling down? I don't know. I mean, it's hard to, you're forced to brace, so I don't see how that could be a negative. One of the issues I run into in regular face pulls is I start to lean back to pull the weight. TK, I love your philosophy. Thank you, sir. Get as strong as possible from head to toe in all rep ranges. Since you've done a great job of this and of conditioning from running, you'd be a great strongman competitor. Thanks. I don't know, man. I'd like to go back in time and try strongman, but unfortunately, it wasn't really a thing for me back in the day. Going to maintenance, is it okay to raise protein and carbs? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That'll just give you more food volume. Focus on raising animal and plant-based to increase your food volume. You're absolutely okay with that. Big Billy B. Baker. I did 2 months of pause squats. It seems that really helped me learn bracing. Good. That's one of the benefits of a pause squat, is that it'll help you stay tight and controlled in the hole. So that's one of the main benefits. Steve, you're up and running with the home gym now. What do you miss versus a public gym? A public gym, you can kind of just move from station to station. You don't have to move things around. Here, like, I love my jammer arms, but they're kind of a pain to set up and putting all the things and moving all the things around. That's really the thing I miss the most, is having to set up and break down stuff. And I mean, you only have so much space in a home gym, even if you have a lot of space. So you have to kind of really move stuff around a lot. Emoji, emoji, emoji. Is that a pink poop? Heart, pink poop, and a kiss. Something you're glad to turn your back on. And what's something you're glad to turn your back on? Distractions. I hate going to a commercial gym and having 248 people waiting to use the leg press, or like, hey, I got leg press next, and somebody's dicking around on there for like a half an hour. Nothing against them if they're working hard, right? But sometimes you just want to stay in the flow of your workout and not have to deal with things. A bench, finding a spotter, et cetera, et cetera. Boys, I don't see any questions. So if you can, really quick, DM me on Instagram. Sometimes YouTube filters questions for whatever reason. If you message me on Instagram real quick, I'll check it out and get it in on the live. Do you think the fitness industry would be different? No, I don't. And this is a hypothetical, and I respect it. But I mean, if we never found steroids, of course, things would be dramatically different. But I don't even know if there'd be a modern bodybuilding. It would just be people trying to look better. There'd always be people trying to look better. But I mean, the sport of bodybuilding, I don't know if it would exist. Who knows? Bruce, how best can a person distinguish between muscle soreness and injury? I mean, muscle soreness is like when you move a muscle and you feel that an injury is going to feel like a strain. Something is not going to feel right, or it's going to feel limiting, right? So just time and experience, but joint pain and an injury or a strain will feel vastly different from muscle soreness. Use bands on jammer arms. Very good to add them to free weight. If you can have the setup, yeah. My jammer arms I enjoy, but they can be a lot of tediousness to set up. Connecting two bands from the back of the power rack. Yep, I agree with you. If you have a setup, go right ahead. Brian Mayo, how do you feel about phentermine? No idea what it is. I'm using it. Was 480 pounds last March. No idea what it is. No idea. I can only research when I'm done, but that's outside of my lane. How should a 64-year-old start lifting today? Dumbbells and machines would be your best start. Not that you can't do barbells. You can do barbell bench and things like that, barbell rows. But make the bread and butter dumbbells and machines. Ease into things over the course of 2-3 months. Don't overdo the work. Do 2 sets per exercise. Ease in. And if you need help, if somebody needs help, they should just reach out. We don't do RIR for somebody 64. That's getting into lifting. They don't need any of that. They just need to have their body acclimate from a physiological standpoint, from a neurological standpoint. I believe they do a lot of circuits at the academy, running sit-ups. I would do a lot of that type of stuff, just general conditioning stuff. You can do circuits of like push-ups, kettlebell swings, burpees, jumping jacks, kettlebell clean and presses. You can put together a lot of interesting general conditioning circuits. That's what I would probably do about 3 times a week. Martin Lord Waghorn. Thoughts on Mike O'Hearn? Mike O'Hearn has a long history, duck eggs and all kinds of things. I don't know what more to say. other than he's not natural, in my opinion. Brian says it's a weight loss pill. Yeah, I don't know much about it. But if you're 480 pounds and a weight loss pill is helping you to lose weight and driving you away from, an early death, that's really what it's doing, then in your doctor's care, then continue to use it. There comes a point where our weight gets so high or the weight gets so high that there's an urgent threat of death. That's the reality. Or a lot of bad health issues, right? So if a weight loss pill helps somebody to lose weight rapidly in doctor's care, just roll with it. Joseph, puked 20 plus times during the sickness. And then I was at the end. I understand you're losing a lot of water weight and you're underhydrated, but I don't understand why you haven't gained it back if you're underweight. So I've never heard that happen, and I don't know why. It's unusual. All I focus on, Joseph, is what we need to do to get the weight moving up, and we need to bulk. We need to get the calories up. We need to get the water up. We need to get the weight up. That's all we can focus on, is the things that will yield good results, if that makes sense. There's no weight loss pill, all very bad. Let's not do that, okay? There are weight loss aids and pills that can help people, and I'm no expert in this, but we can't do that. And I'm being respectful. There are some people that weigh so much that they could die at any time. And if whatever weight loss drug is out there that is helping them lose weight, and I'm no expert, but if it's helping them lose weight and distance themselves from the grave, then in doctor's care, they should do it. Testosterone has fewer side effects, but it's not going to help you arbitrarily lose weight. You're comparing apples to oranges, my friend. Somebody that's 480 pounds isn't just going to get on testosterone and lose weight. It's not going to happen. That person is one step away from the grave. Do you feel Ozempic is a crutch? I respect it, Josh. I don't get in a world of weight loss pills. That's between you and your doctor and your deity. Never mind. You answered another question. No problem. All right, guys, that's it. Thank you for joining Massive Iron Live. I'm here every Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern. Please head over to Instagram at Ben the Barman, at Ben the Barman. Slide into my GM. Join TeamMassiveIron.com. If you need coaching, check out the coaching tab. And if you need workouts, check out the workout tab. Guys, I appreciate each and every one of you. John Paul, I only do weighted cable crunches for my core. I'm not big on core training. I think if you have a minimum amount of core training, you're fine. I think if you're working all your compound movements, you're going to get in enough for core stability. A little bit of extra ab work or core work is only a good thing. But do the exercises you like. All right, guys, that's it. Have a good weekend. Get your asses over to TeamMassiveIron.com, and we are out of here.
It's not almost over. It's not almost over. You're not almost there. You're not almost there. You're not almost there.